I've turned the entire world upside down in 1444 in Europa Universalis. The Christian and Muslim worlds are migratory natives without solid borders, while the native tribes of North and South America are now the technologically advanced nations of the world, with Christianity existing in America, Southeast Asia, and Japan. The steppe hordes come from East Africa in this timeline, with the Muslim faiths hailing from Siberia. Tech groups, religion, and government types are completely swapped from one region of the world to another, and things are gonna get weird. Question of the day: what nation in EU4 has the best national ideas for your playstyle in your opinion? Let us know in the comments below. Taking a look at the map, things are going to look a little bit different. You'll see we have migratory natives here in Europe, as well as in North Africa / the Muslim area. And likewise, the natives of North America are no longer North American natives. They are in fact Eastern Tech Orthodox nations, with the Western Catholics here in the Mexico region, and the Pope man over here smoking up the ganja in Jamaica, man. South American natives are Anatolian Hindus. Sub-Saharan Africa is Confucian Chinese. Central African are Confucian Indians. East Africans are either animists or Tengri, and they are nomadic steppe hordes. Indians are fetishist West Africans. The Muslims are up here in Siberia. We do have some Jews spread throughout, with some Hussites in Southeast Asia and some Copts over here in Japan. And I guess you guys could say Australia is pretty sick.
Excuse me, sir, I'm going to need you to put your hands behind your back. We can't have this sort of smut being shown online.
So yes, Europe is totemist, but the eastern portions are Nahuatl and Mayan. And I am very, very curious how things will go. You'll notice that Byzantium ate a bit of the Ottomans. I don't know how they actually did that. To be honest, I don't know how the Ottomans did this in general. I think they returned a bunch of cores or something like that, because they're at war right now, and we're like 4 months in. I never unpaused like for this video. Serbia also ate like a ton of land up here. I really don't know what happened. I think it has something to do with like the Doom mechanic or something like that, because the Ottomans are Andean and they are Mayan. Either way, with tech groups and religion completely randomized throughout most of the world, I'm definitely curious how things are going to go. But as per usual, there's only one way to find out. We are already on speed 5, so now we unpause. And of course, we can't forget about it. We do have Inti Bohemia over here. They are kind of the last of a dying breed, but they are the only ones. Can they keep the Inti faith alive? And without going in and editing a bunch of history files, whenever somebody migrates away from a province, the religion of that province is going to change. So you're going to see a lot of Muslim provinces popping up over here as people start to migrate. Same thing with Catholic provinces over here. I couldn't be asked to literally go in and change the history file of every single province, because if you don't know, that's how modding EU4 works. It's very tedious at times, so bear with me on that one. The Ottomans are not having a good go at it, losing a ton of land to a ton of different people, even the Knights. Meanwhile, Albania has grown quite a bit, taking over a bit of land in Serbia. So it turns out Kosovo is Albania. And being a horde and Tengri combined with Ethiopia's mission tree, which is pretty solid, I have a feeling they're going to be quite strong. They've already got a couple of extra subjects compared to what they did before. So they're growing. They're no doubt growing. And though they may be small, they are indeed mighty. Bohemia has conquered a very large portion of the development of Poland. A native tribe has conquered a lot of land in Poland that is not even touching their country. So that's a thing. And Albania continues to grow, annexing the rest of Serbia. And as a matter of fact, the Ottomans are just gone, with the Knights taking one more province over here and Karaman eating up the rest. And the usual Indian shenanigans continue, though they are not Indian in this timeline. And Ethiopia continues to span, but I realize these guys are actually tributaries. They are not subjects per se. And over here, the Eastern Orthodox boys of North America aren't doing anything, because though they are not natives, they are still one province minors with a ton of land in between them. So they're probably going to end up needing to wait until the land gets colonized and filled in. And I also have no idea why this is a thing, but despite the Pope being literally right here, the only people who can actually use the Holy See are the Aztecs and this Jalisco, or however it's pronounced. They're all Catholic, so I don't know. It's weird, but either way, the Curia controller is the Aztecs. And very interestingly, you can see that the native federations of Europe are definitely forming. Lüneburg Federation, you can see here, the Ingolstadt Federation, the Lubeck Federation. There's a lot of them. Savoy has one as well. And Castile leads one between them and Portugal. So there is definitely some alliance networks that are in the works over here, and we'll see how things go moving forward. And I almost forgot this. I made Daiviet Norse, which is hilarious because they're East African, but they're Norse. And I really am rooting for them. I hope that they don't crumble. Sometimes you'll see Dai go into China and stuff like that. So that would be a nice time to see them, you know, for Odin and all that. And 40 years later, Albania absolutely continues to grow all the way up into Transylvania, with the biggest name in the region 100%. But we can't count out tribal Bohemia, who is somehow just steamrolling through Poland. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I'm not going to ask questions because I love this. Karelia over here is colonizing Danzig and Königsberg, so that's a thing. Japan has united despite it still being extremely disunited. However, Manchuria still very much disunited, basically 1444 borders with a couple of changes here or there, and Oirat has annexed their subject of Mongolia, but aside from that, pretty boring. Mewar never changes, except for in this timeline it gets annexed by Bahmanis and occupied by rebels. And the Hussite and the Norsemen down here in Southeast Asia are still doing well. Looks like Ayutthaya is about to annex Khmer. Kilwa has made it their job to annex the entirety of the land over here, but Ethiopia is into the Horn of Africa, and they are definitely raising some of the lands over here, and I think basically everybody else is a tributary. A couple of tags have been eliminated here over in the Andean mountains, and some slight border changes in Mexico here and there, but again, nothing too interesting to speak of. 1600, and Europe is starting to look quite a bit different at this point. A lot of the local tribes have begun settling down. You've got a big red England, a big blue Sweden, and Bohemia has also settled down, as well as Burgundy, the Livonians, a couple of other guys. Albania continues to be an absolute menace here. The Mayan nation controls Rome, as well as a large portion of central Italy for that matter. Sweden, which looks remarkably like a penis, is actually still a personal union under Denmark. Norway's just gone. I don't know where they went, but obviously they are not very loyal. Also, this is Kazan. Kazan owns land in Denmark. And for that matter, a very large portion of Russia in general, eating Muscovy, and the Teutons, who have taken a large bite out of Perm of here in Russia. Byzantium still exists, but not in any major capacity. They have been gobbled up mostly by Albania, but a little bit by Karaman over here. No, it's not Karaman, it's actually the Knights. The Knights are having a pretty good game over here in Anatolia. Dai has migrated south into Khmer, or whatever this region is called, but they've also migrated north into China, very heavily into China. Enough so that they have felt it necessary to dub themselves the Emperor of China. And sadly, that means they have converted to Confucian, but not after converting quite a bit of land over here to Norse. So Norse exists down here on the map, but just not as the primary faith of any nation. But I know one place that it definitely exists: in my heart. In my heart, right next to the homies, the new channel members, and you can join and support the channel with the join button below the video. Tier 2 and higher will get early access to all the videos that come out on this channel, and Tier 3 or higher gets to join in on monthly multiplayer games on the Discord. Everybody gets special roles in the Discord and access to exclusive chats, so if that sounds good to you and you want to support content you love, become one of the homies. Click the join button below the video today. Religiously, like I said, Catholic is spreading like wildfire, but it's just from everybody migrating. Same with Sunni and a little bit of Shia over here. It's based on the history files of the provinces. But one faith that's doing very good is Inti. Bohemia has converted the majority of Carpathia as well as Poland. And Kazan has somehow become Sunni. I don't think they were in 1444, but they are now, and they have conquered a ton of the land over here. Most of the Nahuatl land is actually taken over, and they haven't converted it because, as you might know, Aboriginal Sunni Islam does not convert because Dhimmi is overpowered. But don't worry, we still have our Nahuatl holdouts here in the Caucasus Mountains. Obviously, I don't think colonization is going to be a big thing we're going to see much of this time around, but we do have a couple of nations like Natchez over here and this Ichisi have consolidated a bit of land. Same with these boys up here over in the Great Lakes area. And down in Mexico, we have a Mexico that has formed. And even better yet, they are a theocracy, the Catholic theocracy of Mexico. I love it. The papacy has expanded quite a few more nations. Sadly, the Reformation doesn't look like it's going to form. It does have a very nice amount of reform desire, but not enough to kick off Reformation centers. But with a little over 200 years left, Kazan is actually the #1 great power with a little bit over 1,000 development, which is a super low amount. Ayutthaya rocking over 1,000 as well, with Bahmanis right behind them and Oirat, followed by the former Norse nation of Dai in the Emperor of China, and then Albania in the 6th spot, Korea and Jampur rounding out the 8th. And I almost missed this, so I'm glad I caught it. Majapahit is in Arabia. They don't exist over here. They're only in Arabia and Hormuz. I don't know why. I don't know how they got over here, but they're here, and looks like they're here to stay. And in the end, the world is very red. We've got some red over on the British Isles, some red in Italy, some red in Germany, some red in the Balkans and Greece. as well as a ton of red in the Fertile Crescent all the way down through Arabia, all the way into Yemen. Great Britain formed because, of course they did, and they actually have the Franco-British Union, but Albania doing most of the legwork over here in Italy, as well as the Balkans pushing all the way up into Lubeck, which is awesome. And then you take a look up to the north, you say, oh, what the heck happened to Sweden? Sweden is, wait a minute, no, that's not Sweden. That's Bremen, right? So Sweden is gone, and the rest is Kazan. It's all Kazan, always has been. Majapahit ended up popping off and dominating the entirety of this region, and there's a funny twist to that, and I'm going to show you in just a second. Balmanis ended up eating up most of Delhi, splitting it with Jaunpur, and to the north of them is an absolute behemoth. Oirat dominated all of Asia for the most part, and basically did Genghis Khan's empire minus the Ilkhanate. They pushed everyone from China out of China, and even pushed Korea out of Korea. Hilariously, Korea and Jiangsu are the only nations on the Japanese Isles other than Oirat. Ayutthaya ended up hanging in there and going very strong, and we do have a Diviet up here. They decided to stick around. And my friends, I am very happy to tell you they have returned to the good old ways of the Northmen. A little bit of Norse over here on the map, but they are the only Norse nation in the world, surrounded by a bunch of Hussites and whatever these guys are. Shia, apparently. Oirat is Shia. Now, when I was talking about something interesting with these guys, you're going to see Majapahit is a subject of Ethiopia, and they hate them. They hate them with all their guts, but somehow they are still a subject. And Ethiopia ended up having a very respectful game, pushing down into the southern tip of Africa, eating up all of Kilwa and all the Horn of Africa, of course, and pushing their subject of Majapahit all the way up into the Caspian Sea and bordering over here in Syria. So very, very impressive. They also colonized quite a bit of land over here, though a lot of that is Majapahit. But yeah, if they're going to be disloyal forever, they were actually disloyal 200 years ago when I saw it last, and I don't know why they never broke free. They just stayed there, I guess. 200,000 troops, but they're just chilling. Songhai ended up uniting the majority of the development over here in sub-Saharan Africa, with Benin clinging to life on the coast over here, with one of the cooler flags in this game, in my opinion. Once we get over into the Americas, things get a little interesting because you can see we have a Peru that has formed from this native over here. We have the Jewish Muslim nation of Venezuela. They're also a native with a Carib culture, which Carib is like over here. So that's a thing. The Muisca stood still and didn't move the entire game, and they come out strong on the other side, a whopping 10,000 troops and absolutely perfect undisturbed isolation. Mosquito Kingdom, a little bit of the same, but if you look up to the north here, you're going to see Mexico is looking pretty Mexican, as is North America in general, for that matter. Mexican California, apparently stretching all the way from Alaska down to Baja, pushing Majapahit, Alaska into the interior of Canada and the northern United States. Okay. Though probably one of my favorite formations of the game here is the United States Creek Indians. But of course, they're not Indians this time. They're a great metropolis here, Eastern Orthodox. Very cool. Oh, and they're even a clerical state. That is awesome. They are a theocracy. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Aside from that, the natives were quite boring, to be honest. Bohemia still exists, the Teutons still exist, but for the most part, it was Lotharingia and Austria who ended up getting completely cut down by Great Britain and Albania. Lotharingia was huge last time I looked. Croatia actually doing pretty good over here, and Ingolstadt hanging out down there with these lads down here, Milan hanging out in this Brescia area, but not in Milano, which is uncolonized. Okay. You guys will see that Brandenburg has Altmark over here, but it's not their capital because their capital is over here in Sevilla, and the rest of their development is over here in Portugal. So that's a thing. And the religious map mode is an absolute mess. You've got some Mayan up here. You've got some Sunni over here. You got lots of totemist over here. And the Mayans have pushed all the way up into here. Catholic, where all the land hasn't been colonized. But some reason, Brandenburg is Inti. As I showed, the Hussites dominating all the way from Bangladesh down into Sumatra and over into the Philippines. The Sikhs over here got smushed, and they are now Jews for the most part. And then over here, you just got a mishmash of a bunch of stuff. North America's uncolonized land is very much still Jewish, with Hindus over here, Catholics over here in North America, with Orthodox splitting it, and some Sunnis hanging out in the central part. And there's some interesting stuff to be taking a look at on the cultural map mode. We have the Saxon diaspora over here in Iberia, a couple of random English provinces over here in France, as well as one Venetian province down here in the south, classic Karelian culture over here in Prussia, as well as in Copenhagen. The Persian culture group was completely gutted because most of them were displaced by Javanese people who transplanted from Java. I guess you would call this place Javanese Arabia or Javan Arabia. I don't know. What do you guys think? Southern America looking the same for the most part, with Northern America very much Javanese or native. So something a little different. I didn't end up making this one into a mod because it was just a lot of scripts that I ran, and making it into a mod would be a huge pain in the butt other than just having it run events at the beginning of the game. But either way, if you guys enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like and subscribe for more.